Hello there, Commonwealth from here. E3 and Zelda, especially Breath of the Wild 1 and 2, equals true. It is an undeniable fact. Yes, Breath of the Wild flirted with the Game Awards, even after the title reveal in 2016. But other than that, E3 is wholly to the Zelda team. It is where the reveals and new trailers are delivered, and it is the only place where the game was playable as a demo in 2016. Now this will not be repeated for the sequel this year in 2022, since physical E3, well, is cancelled. But according to multiple sources including Tom Henderson, the digital replacement that we saw introduced last year in 2021 is likely to return thanks to the ESRB, that being the age ratings organization for North America, who recently sent out emails to developers regarding ratings for the E3 window. Meaning that an E3 announcement should be on its way sooner rather than later from the ESA, the organizer, despite the previous rumors and reports regarding the publishers being in conflict with each other on whether to organize the digital expo this year or not. I guess they realized that Christmas for gaming and the sweet spot for the grandest game reveals is in June, specifically around or on my birthday. Speaking of, thank you so much for 295,000 subscribers, which means that we are less than 5,000 away from the big 300,000. And I would love to reach it in time for my 30th birthday on June 13th. The Monday and likely day before Nintendo's E3 2022 Nintendo Direct. So be sure to press that like and subscribe buttons. With that being said, Summer Games Fest also made a stand last year thanks to its Elden Ring gameplay reveal ending. But let's be honest, there's only one king that provides the goods for multiple days in a row, and that is E3, the only show that gives us new updates on the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And of course, gives us Nintendo's traditional E3 Direct. Unless all of these ratings are for Summer Games Fest and we're in for a Nintendo Direct Summer Games Fest 2022, lol. Either way, the week in June appears to be secure as well in 2022, which means that also a Zelda reveal should be secure, as Nintendo outside of 2020 never skips E3 week when it's on. They have been a part of it since the beginning and hosted conferences regarding the upcoming titles from the late 90s, and were the first to go pre-recorded digitally with the presentation in 2013. Not looking back since then, with the exception of the year when Zelda Breath of the Wild was introduced live by Reggie in 2016, and in Zelda's case it is for the better, as reaction videos have easily replaced the effect of the live on-stage reveals and technical failures on the same stage. Digital E3 offers the Zelda team and Nintendo a level of control that is unrivaled and which delivers the goods, and in the case of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, that is pretty much everything missing at this point. The title of the game, specific release date, actual gameplay that lasts more than 2 seconds per skirmish, and proper trailer that lasts for 3 minutes, and convinces us that this is far more than just an expansion to the world of Breath of the Wild. Since gaming has evolved over the last 5 years, and though Breath of the Wild's impact was immense, we already saw challengers to the at that point ultimate open world experience from Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2018, and more so Elden Ring recently. And it is this that the Zelda team must deliver on, satisfying a more demanding gaming crowd that nearly 6 years after Breath of the Wild wants something fresh. The pressure is no doubt there, but I also believe that it is exactly why we see this sequel so rarely, since the Zelda team loves to take their time and surprise us at E3. First with the open world in 2014, then in 2016 a world with running, jumping, gliding, climbing and riding, then a sequel with an underground world filled with mysteries and dangers in 2019, then announcing an heavenly and divine sky filled with new gameplay opportunities in 2021. Gradually bringing us closer to the ultimate Zelda title, a game that merges exploration, dungeon crawling, storytelling, and varied combat against varied enemies brilliantly together. Just being the best Zelda in every category, plain and simple. Could E3 2022 be the year when the sequel of combinations confirms these combinations? It might just be the case, and in order for it to be guaranteed to happen, E3 is key. But why is it so much more important than other Nintendo Directs? Most of all, the audience, not only the gamer, but the average consumer and professionals watching video games the entire week. It is this and the Game Awards in the world of gaming which brings in a much bigger general audience, and thus it is the perfect stage for the most impactful reveals, and according to many reports and rumors that go together with what is exactly Nintendo's plans right now. Throwing out their smaller cards plus one ace, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, in the first Nintendo Direct, but otherwise keeping their remaining aces for digital E3. Just like last year we saw with the first new 2D Metroid in 19 years, Mario Party Superstars, and the return of Breath of the Wild sequel. The big stuff that matters and sells very well this year seems to be no different, and Nintendo's just as equally secretive about it. Well, with the exception of the projects that are probably already leaked. though Breath of the Wild 2, or new Zelda games in general, have proven to be leak-free. Yes, some predictions have hit perfectly, but these were a natural evolution when the same open world was being reused, and thus we can predict but not expect leaks before E3. Besides, who would want a written leak without any footage in advance? Outside of leak tubers, no one. It will ruin one of the few peaks we get inside the 20th Zelda game prior to its release. With this in mind, I'm saying that it is positive that E3 seems to be taking place digitally again this year, since we all know that Nintendo does things their way in their own Nintendo E3 presentations/directs. All to stand out and own the narrative when the Zelda sequel decides to surface and leap into the sky for say a day before going underground again until the next trailers that will not be 1 year apart. No doubt, digital E3 2022 is a better option than Summer Games Fest, as each conference is hosted by each publisher company, and though last year demonstrated that some are better than others at this, aka Microsoft and Nintendo, it doesn't mean that E3 should go away, since we gamers have primarily 2 grand highlights for premieres of new titles from the biggest developers. Both are in Los Angeles and half a year apart, E3 and the Game Awards. Yes, E3 will remain digital this year if it takes place, but the impact around the world remains the same. People gather and sit down for several days to watch presentation after presentation. The World Championships of game announcements, and every 4 to 5 years that competition elevates to Olympics levels when a new Zelda and Elder Scrolls level title graces the event with a brand new reveal. And it is for those magical moments of triumph that we gamers flock around E3, for the game reveals and new trailers that blow our minds and make us count down to the release of each title, even though they are more and more likely 3+ years away from a release when initially revealed. For Zelda, this means that this year is an Olympics year, as the release year for the sequel is here, or in the worst case right next to us with potentially new exciting hardware. But first we need the goods. Actual proper trailer, lengthy gameplay sequences which are cut every 5 seconds, a treehouse 30+ minute taste right after the direct, final title which is a given at this point, and obviously release date. 5 things that we desperately need come digital E3 2022, and which we haven't received through the soon to be 3-year-long wait. The importance of both digital E3 and Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 being there cannot be understated, as nothing can really replace the impact these two have for one key reason. Combinations. The combination of one giant umbrella host and multiple giants under it rivaling for our attention through carefully orchestrated presentations. The combination of E3 cross Nintendo Switch exclusive presentation, the combination of a Nintendo presentation which delivers the surprises and surpasses the expectations for Zelda. It is these combinations that are difficult to provide with a Summer Games Fest replacement, and why we need E3. The ultimate competition stage for gaming, where conferences are rated and compared, and where in order to win you have to bring out your biggest software gun in non-hardware years. And for Nintendo, that is none other than Breath of the Wild sequel, plain and simple. Nintendo knows it, and with at least a digital E3 likely on the way, they and the Zelda team have no other choice but to bring Zelda back to the table and up the previous performance. Why? So that it is Nintendo and Zelda that everyone is talking about when all conferences are concluded, and that is why we need E3, because as recent history has proven to us, only E3 guarantees new The Legend of Zelda reveals. E3 is the sun and Zelda circles around it, as nothing has more power and impact in the world of video games than the Electronics Entertainment Expo. And that is exactly why we hope it will stay with us digitally for now, and soon enough return as a physical event in Los Angeles, California, since that format had another benefit, a beach vacation before or after the show is done for all attendees. And that is all I want to say about the promising signs regarding digital E3 overcoming the internal verbal conflict that clearly impacted the ESA in the beginning of the year. I want to add that I can't wait for an official announcement from the same organization that digital E3 is back, since that is the hack to bring new Zelda back as well. But what do you think about all of these developments? Do you believe that digital E3 2022 is all but announced at this point, or are you still skeptical? Sound off your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the Commonwealth Run to get us as previously mentioned past 300,000 subscribers, and press the notification bell to not miss any of our upcoming videos, and unlock our 300k Switch OLED plus game giveaway. Lastly, a big thanks goes to all of you watching and to all our patreon.com/CommonRealm patrons, and in particular to our royal producer Charles Shash. You rock, and please enjoy one or both of these two awesome videos.